What's going on, guys, and welcome to my audio review for the Friday Night SmackDown season premiere for September 13th, 2024 on USA Network. I'm Graham G. Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great weekend so far. The Blue Brand's first time back on USA since 2019, almost exactly 5 years ago, having their last show on the network. Now, they still did bleep out a number of parts of the show due to the usual swears, the holy shit chant, so that's not really going away. And I know we've complained about that on Fox for the last number of years now. To me, the blackouts were worse on network television on Fox the last 5 years, especially as of late. The blackout, specifically during like the Bayley-Tiffany match on last week's show, were way fucking worse. The bleeping I can deal with. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense because WWE before a year or two ago never really bleeped out anything. We've had holy shit chants on the show for, years, decades, really. And the product has been PG since 2008, so it's not like it's a PG thing. Only in the last year or two did USA and Fox as well start bleeping and censoring parts of the shows with the expletives and the chants and whatnot. And that was again the case on Friday, although I will say, unless it was an issue with my own TV, there were points in the show where they bleeped out, like you could still see the show, thankfully. They didn't do the complete blackout, which was terrible on Fox. But they did censor parts of the show from crowd chants. And then when they would come back with the audio, unless they just completely cut out all the holy shit chants, but it would be at random points in like the opener, later on in the show. It wasn't throughout the entire show, but it was weird though, because I'm thinking that wasn't a part of the match where they were chanting holy shit, or I don't know, it was very weird. So aside from that though, I thought this was a good show. Started strong, ended strong. The middle of the show left a little bit to be desired. Not a whole lot of note happening there. Randy Orton back on SmackDown for the first time since before SummerSlam. That was cool, albeit in predictable fashion, but, nice to get him back on the show. The fifth match between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes was also a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. The overall show was good. Not like amazing, but it was a good season premiere. I will say, though, I think my top takeaway from this first SmackDown on USA was that they do need to switch things up. Now, they did with the logo and the new intro music for the show, which I will say off the bat, neither of which I like. The logo was better than I thought it would be. Not that I thought it would be, but like when I first saw it on Friday on Twitter, when it was first, being leaked and it was first being passed around by various accounts and whatnot, I didn't love it. It looked like it says, clearly if you take 5 seconds to read it, it says SmackDown, SmackDown on, or Smack on top, down on the bottom. But it looks like it is supposed to be one giant S with the D and the S, blah, blah, blah. I get what they were going for, but to someone who may not get that, it may look like it says SmackSound. That's what it looks like, SmackSound. So, maybe not the greatest logo, but I appreciate the attempt to mix it up. The theme song, I will say off the bat, like I just said a moment ago, I also do not like that. And that's not like, I can sit here and say it's garbage, which, I mean, I guess you can say that because that's an opinion. I was thinking that originally. I don't think it's a great fit for SmackDown at all, but it's also entirely a taste thing because I've seen a lot of people defending it. I've seen a lot of people shitting on it. At the end of the day, it is entirely subjective. There are some theme songs by Def Rebel that are fucking shit that I think we can all agree on. But the new SmackDown theme, it's a step back to normalcy, in the sense that they're using an actual artist for the song. Because for the last number of years, I mean, aside from the AC/DC song that they started using in 2019, which I also did not love, and I like AC/DC, but I did not love Are You Ready? A lot of the songs they've used in the last decade plus have been in-house songs, whether it be by CFO, which I actually really liked. I liked This Life. I liked Black and Blue from about a decade ago. I don't really remember, I think the Take a Chance song they used on SmackDown Live for a 3-year period, didn't love that one. That was an in-house song as well, though. Are You Ready? Didn't love that one, but that was by an actual band. And the one they've been using in the last year or two, it was an in-house band. It was the Def Rebel song, and it was completely forgettable. So this new song is not forgettable. I mean, it is by an actual artist, Megan Thee Stallion, obviously a very popular artist. I'm sure WWE paying her a lot of money to license the song and use it for SmackDown. It's nice that they're going back to actual artists, although some of the in-house songs they've used are not entirely bad, but some of the Def Rebel ones have been pretty bad. It's just not my taste. I don't really feel like it fits the show. I don't really like that type of music. That doesn't make it a bad song necessarily. It's just not really a song for me. And everyone's saying, oh, these rock diehards can't get over the fact that it's, and not the rock, but I'm talking like rock music, can't get over the fact that it's not a rock song. Yeah, rock would be ideal for a wrestling show, I think. But I feel like even some of the other songs they've used for SmackDown and for Raw have not been traditional rock, and they've actually been pretty good. I don't know, the Megan Thee Stallion song, that's the type of music I really just don't care for at all. It doesn't get me hyped for SmackDown, but they had to switch things up. They're on USA again for the first time in years. They've had the same song for about a year or so now. Are You Ready by AC/DC before that for like a 3-4 year period. So it's nice that they're switching things up. I will say that. It's just not really my thing, but like I said, I think it's entirely a taste thing. So for anyone saying it's trash, for anyone saying that it's great, technically everyone's right, because it's really more a matter of what you prefer. But the actual show itself was what really mattered, and we still have a lot of the same storylines going on right now. In the very near future, they will have to shake things up. Last year for the season premiere, we had Nick Aldis debuting as the GM. That was cool. We had Kevin Owens coming on over in exchange for Jey Uso going to Raw. That helped switch things up as well. Currently on SmackDown, we are still getting Orton and Owens as a tag team against A-Town Down Under. We have seen it a million times. We have to move on. Andrade and Hayes have finished up their feud, seemingly, and at least that's been entertaining. But, like, going back to Bayley and Nia, it makes sense to do that, but it's not exactly a fresh feud. And even in the main event picture, Roman against the Bloodline feels new. Cody Rhodes against the Bloodline does not. Now, that is a big match they set up for Bad Blood that we will get into in this review. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns against Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa at Bad Blood. That's a big match. Really big match. But it would also like a renewed focus back on the WWE Championship itself and Cody Rhodes not working with Solo Sikoa anymore. We saw it over the summer. We saw it at SummerSlam. We saw it on this very show. We saw it at Money in the Bank. It's time for him to move on. We saw it during his initial feud with Roman Reigns leading into WrestleMania 39 and WrestleMania 40. He's got to move on from feuding with Cody Rhodes. Or Cody Rhodes, rather, has to move on. Cody Rhodes has to move on from feuding with the Bloodline and Solo Sikoa. That's just the bottom line. Because I said so. But no, seriously, like, we need fresh feuds. That said, though, I did think the steel cage match that opened the show was actually very good between Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa. A much better match than the match at SummerSlam, which even personally myself, I did not mind that match. I thought that was a good match as well. People were waiting for the Roman Reigns return on that show, in that match. Here was not the case. We kind of figured Roman would be out there, but not until the other Bloodline members came out. And they actually never did. That was the biggest surprise of the match, was that they kept out the other members of the Bloodline. And not even with the cage, they just never showed up until afterward. I fully expected Jacob Fatu and Tongaloa Tamatanga to show up and attempt to interfere. They did not. This was a clean cage match. The first 30 minutes of the show were commercial-free, so they were not interrupted by any commercials, which I appreciated. And they were able to have a straightforward steel cage match, which I enjoyed. I thought the match was good. Cody Rhodes winning decisively, as he should have. And the whole reason why I did not want interference in this match, we got it afterward anyway, which was fine. And it set up the story for later on in the show and whatever. But the big reason why I did not want interference in the match itself, specifically with the finish, was because Cody Rhodes needed to prove that he could beat Solo Sikoa on his own. They had Roman Reigns interfere, not even technically he did, but like it was Roman Reigns who allowed Cody Rhodes to pick up the win at SummerSlam. That was not the case here. He just beat him straight up, as he should have. So then immediately following the match, the other Bloodline members immediately show up, and they attack Cody Rhodes, and they attempt to lay him out, blah, blah, blah. So they, get in the cage, and they go after Cody. And out comes Roman Reigns, who was originally advertised for this episode before they pulled him from the advertising. So you kind of had to figure because of that, they would have him show up as a surprise. Then he did. And he helped Cody Rhodes even the playing field a bit. So that led to a show-long storyline with Roman Reigns saying that he... Not even Roman Reigns saying, because we wouldn't hear him speak until the end of the show. But Nick Aldis mentioning in a backstage segment that we would get Roman Reigns addressing the Bloodline at the end of the show, and then he wanted his hands on them, and he was sanctioning a tag team match for the Bad Blood pay-per-view on October 5th with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes against the Bloodline's Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. Except Cody Rhodes showed up and confronted Nick Aldis and said, I want nothing to do with the Bloodline going forward. Remember that for later. The second match in the show, Michin and Piper Niven, because they, I guess because we got no commercials in the first 30 minutes. They wanted to keep this match short. I mean, I'm just speculating here. Like, it was nice that we got no commercials during the opener, but then it felt like, oh, you're not going to get any commercials during the opener, so we're going to give you a 2-minute women's match with a commercial right beforehand and right afterward. So it's not even really like the match matters anyway. Michin against Piper Niven. Michin lost to Chelsea Green last week. She also failed to beat Nia Jax for the WWE Women's Championship on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. So she needed to win. Piper Niven is not a threat. She will not be a threat. I think Piper Niven is very good. But currently no one really cares about her, and no one really cares about Michin. Michin has gotten over more now than she was even a couple of months ago through the feud with Nia Jax on TV. Being on TV every week, the NXT work, I'm sure, has not hurt her at all. I'm sure it's only been a help to her momentum and getting over with the audience. So she picked up the win here. The match did not really matter. Chelsea Green jumped in the ring afterward, helped Piper Niven lay out Michin, and that was it. So kind of a waste of a match, waste of TV time. They just furthered the feud between the two. They announced an additional match between Michin and Chelsea Green on SmackDown Lowdown later on in the night. I'll talk about that in my other review for SmackDown Lowdown after this, so check that out in that other video going up also today. But yeah, I mean, again, they furthered the feud between the women involved. No one really seemed to give a shit, and when you give these women only 2 minutes, how much of the match can you really care about? That's kind of the problem. Kevin Owens and a mystery partner against A-Town Down Under. We all knew it was Randy Orton. They decided to play with the audience by having Owens introduce a new partner instead, named Ricky, some local jobber, according to Michael Cole. I mean, obviously he wasn't saying this seriously, but he made a joke about it, made a crack about the guy being George the Animal Steel's son, because he had so much back hair and chest hair and whatever. Then it became clear that Owens' partner was indeed showing up. He was able to make it to the building. That being Randy Orton. So Owens lays out Ricky with a stunner in the ring. And then we got Owens and Orton against A-Town Down Under. A good match, but the thing is, I mean, every single match is exactly the same. We have been seeing every combination of these four against each other has ended with the baby faces winning. Not a single time, to my knowledge, has Grayson Waller or Theory in the last year beaten Owens or Orton, whether it be in a singles match, a tag team match. Owens and Orton actually lost a tag team match before WrestleMania to Pretty Deadly because of Logan Paul. But that was not A-Town Down Under. They have lost every match, I believe, singles, tag team, triple threat, whatever, against these two men for the last year, is how long they've been feuding for. It's time to move on. It feels like this has been going on forever. Again, a well-worked match, crowd was into it, but how much can I really give a shit when we don't know where this is going? I tweeted this during the show. I was hoping for a similar angle to what we got on the Raw Homecoming show to USA back in 2005, when Raw returned to USA for the first time in 5 years. They had this great angle where Triple H and Ric Flair, Triple H was gone for months. We had not seen him on WWE TV since Vengeance, where he lost to Batista, where he lost the World Heavyweight Champion. Or no, actually, he wasn't the World Heavyweight Champion, but he did lose a World Heavyweight Championship match to Batista inside the cell on that show. And he was gone from Raw for a few months. He returned on Raw Homecoming, successfully teaming with Triple H, or with Ric Flair rather, did Triple H, as baby faces for the first time since Evolution formed, 3 years earlier. And then he proceeded to just beat the shit out of Ric Flair in the ring, just destroying him in the ring and around ringside, leading to them feuding in the fall. I thought we might get a repeat of that angle here. WWE not quite as ballsy. We still do not know where they're going with this, with Orton and Owens and whatever. Owen, of the two, I would rather see Orton go heel. Owens as a heel we know can work as well because he's such a great heel. He's a natural heel. I feel like it would make more sense for Orton to go heel because Owens was the one teasing it, so you kind of do a swerve and have Orton go heel instead. Maybe they're saving it for when he turns on Cody Rhodes, but we're not getting Cody Rhodes against either man of Bad Blood because we know Cody Rhodes is teaming with Roman Reigns. So I honestly have no idea where they go from here. Maybe they challenge the Bloodline for the tag titles. Again, not been there, done that because they haven't challenged for the tag titles yet, and their time as a team have Orton and Owens. But we've seen them with the Bloodline for fucking years. In Owens' case, it's been 4 years. For Orton, it's been like 2 or 3. But still, it's been a very, very long time, on and off for years now. It's time to move on with fresh feuds. But that's the only reason why I can imagine why these two are still together and teaming and why one has not turned on the other yet. I know they can have a soft alliance and not be together all the time, but when Orton was on Raw, that was the only point in which Owens and Orton were not teaming for the last 9 months. Beyond that, they've been allies and feuding with Logan Paul together. They were, teaming with Cody Rhodes against the Bloodline together. they were doing everything together for a very long stretch of time, and they still are. So I would have them move in separate directions and move the fuck on from this, because it's just been ridiculous. We had Bayley and Naomi confronting Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton in the ring on the show as well. Nia announcing that she will be defending her WWE Women's Championship at Bad Blood in a couple weeks, which I like that we're getting 2 women's matches on that show, actually. Not only the fact that we're getting 2 women's matches, but we're getting 2 women's title matches. I mean, we've had tag team title matches on these shows, but like it's not very often, aside from like Mania, where they do a World Women's Championship match and a WWE Women's Championship match on the same show. So I'm glad that they're switching it up for this pay-per-view and they're doing both belts defended on that pay-per-view, because neither was defended on Bash in Berlin. I know Liv and Rhea were in a tag team match, an intergender tag team match, but they were not actually fighting each other for the Women's Championship. So Nia will either face Bayley or Naomi, or I guess, so what they announced here is that we're getting a tag team match next week, Nia and Tiffany against Bayley and Naomi. If Bayley and Naomi win, then whoever scores the winning fall for their team will fight Nia for the championship at Bad Blood. So they want to do the whole can they coexist thing, who's going to get the title shot, blah, blah, blah. But if they lose, whoever Nia pins or whoever Tiffany pins will be banned from SmackDown permanently. I don't think the heels will win that match. I mean, I guess they could throw a curveball and have Bayley send her packing to Raw. She's been on SmackDown for the last year or so now, since she and the rest of Damage Control got drafted to SmackDown in the 2023 draft. So honestly, I would not be against the idea of Bayley going to Raw. Raw needs the women right now. They need more depth. Even Naomi going to Raw would be fine, but it's more a matter of, I don't know. I mean, if they want to do Jimmy and Jay reuniting, Jimmy might go to SmackDown. We don't know what brand he's going to be on when he comes back. I imagine SmackDown to continue the Bloodline thing. But if he's on SmackDown, Naomi stays on SmackDown. If Jimmy Uso is popping up on Raw next week, not next week, but at some point in the next month, then next week on SmackDown, Naomi can lose that match and then she goes to Raw with him. Not on TV at the same time, but they could do an angle where Naomi gets moved to Raw because Jimmy Uso is going to also go to Raw to reunite with Jey Uso when he comes back. So honestly, do not discount that possibility. I am still expecting Bayley to pin Nia Jax here. And they didn't really make it clear because she said, according to Nick Aldis, I have to defend my championship at Bad Blood. They did not make it clear if Nia Jax's team wins, does she get to pick her opponent? Does she not have to defend the championship at all? Which might be why it seems weird that they're doing 2 women's title matches on that show, because maybe Nia won't defend on that show after all. We would probably still get Nia and Bayley on SmackDown, and Charlotte will be back at some point. I honestly think it might be for the better if Bayley or Naomi head to Raw. Because probably Naomi, if they want to do the Jimmy Uso thing with Jay, because they're not going to split up the two of them, a married couple. They're not going to be on separate brands, obviously. I mean, you can move Bayley to Raw as well, but I feel like we would probably get Bayley and Nia first before Bayley would end up on a different show. So I would prefer to see that. But maybe they're making it so obvious that Bayley and Naomi are going to win, only for one of them to go to Raw. I kind of hope they go in that direction, but there's nothing wrong with the illogical direction of doing Nia and Bayley again for the WWE Women's Championship at Bad Blood. So Bayley can get a rematch, and then both women from there can move on. We had the 5th match in the series between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. Another excellent encounter between the two. They just have amazing chemistry. This was not officially billed as a United States Championship #1 contenders match, but it kind of implied that was the case. LA Knight coming out afterwards saying that Andrade, you're next in line for my title. We're going to get LA Knight and Andrade for the United States Championship on next week's show. But yeah, I thought this was a really good match. I thought it could have been a little bit better, so I was kind of hoping, I honestly had my guard up for a non-finish, because I thought we might get a non-finish, and then like a triple threat for the championship, which they teased last week on SmackDown. We could still get a triple threat at some point. It is still very possible that Andrade and LA Knight could end in a DQ or whatever with Carmelo Hayes getting involved. And we get that triple threat, and LA Knight still, retains anyway. But I thought the latest and potentially final match in the Andrade-Hayes feud was very, very good. A great match here. And I look forward to Andrade fighting LA Knight next week, even if it's a non-finish for the United States title. And then just like that, we had our main event segment, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. I can't even say reuniting, because this is the first time I think they've been aligned. Roman Reigns out there fighting off the Bloodline, and Cody Rhodes, who specifically said earlier in the show, I want nothing to do with the Bloodline anymore. I want to move on. I'm done with them. But because Roman spoke, and we have not heard from Roman on SmackDown or any WWE show actually since before WrestleMania. He mentioned how this is his WWE, this is his ring, he's the only tribal chief, blah, blah, blah. Apparently that was enough to piss off Cody Rhodes. And I'm glad they're going in that direction of Cody Rhodes not just being a pushover and letting the Bloodline and Roman Reigns take his top spot on SmackDown, even though he's not the champion anymore. He's a bigger attraction, sure, but he's not the champion. Cody Rhodes should be the focal point of the show. So he's not a pushover in that sense. He came out and said, listen, I'm the champion. You were the focal point until I beat you for this belt. And, that's why he was out there. And that's why he agreed to team with Roman Reigns, because he doesn't want to be out of the spotlight. So ultimately, they have a great story there for down the road, with Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes turning on Roman Reigns, and maybe that's how we get their third match at some point down the road. Until then, they will be teaming at Bad Blood Cody and Roman will be teaming at Bad Blood against Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. So honestly, the one thing in that match that intrigues me more than anything else is the fact that we're going to get Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns in the ring in a match for the first time ever. That should be fucking awesome. For however much they actually give away the match, we might get more of Roman and Solo. I'm sure we'll get a taste of Jacob Fatu and Roman. They may not want to give a big portion of it because I feel like that's the bigger, attraction there. And it is also worth noting, again on this show, a lot like in recent weeks, Jacob was willing to step up to Cody Rhodes in the cage at the beginning of the show. He almost jumped off the cage on top of Cody. That would have been crazy. He did not do that. But he almost stepped to Cody in the cage, and then Solo pulled him out. So Solo continuing to hold back Jacob Fatu. There will come a point where they break Jacob Fatu away from, Solo at least. Maybe he leaves the Bloodline on his own. Who knows? But we will get Jacob and Roman Reigns one-on-one at some point, and it will be awesome. So in a nutshell, I thought the show was good. It had a good energy. The crowd was quiet at certain points. They were lively at other points. But I thought the key points of the show, the opening segment and the closing segment, with Cody and Roman and the Bloodline, delivered. It was a big show in that sense. Now, a lot like most people, based on the rumors and the rumblings going into SmackDown on Friday, I also did think we might see The Rock on this show. We did not, the thing with The Rock, I thought there was a chance, Cody would say no, and then Rock would show up, and then Rock and Roman would take on the Bloodline. But that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because The Rock, first of all, is not playing second fiddle on a pay-per-view because we know Punk and Drew is definitely going on last on that show. It just kind of has to. I don't know why it wouldn't. Rock is not curtain-jerking Bad Blood, a fucking B-level pay-per-view, C-level pay-per-view, whatever. That's one thing. Two, I'm not even really sure it would make sense right now. I think Rock, we might not see him again not until closer to the Royal Rumble, to be honest. I don't think we see Rock back on the show until January at the earliest. I know we made a one-off on SmackDown, actually a year ago today, this weekend on SmackDown a year ago, but I don't know, I just don't see it. If he's going to come back, I think he's back for a full-on storyline, run, whatever, and I just don't see that happening right now, unfortunately. But they're going to keep things interesting, or at least they're going to attempt to, with Cody and Roman teaming against the Bloodline at Bad Blood. And we'll see what happens. I don't think it's a double turn and Roman turns on Cody. I think Roman's a babyface for good. And we're going to get Roman Reigns and Solo at some point, probably even at Crown Jewel in November in Saudi Arabia. I would not be shocked. Maybe they could build the Cody and, or rather Roman and Jacob Fatu for Mania, or at the Rumble maybe, or something along those lines. I feel like that would make the most sense. The overall show, though, like I said, I liked. Some of the stuff in the middle wasn't exactly the most exciting. But they do have to do a better job going forward, even with the new logo and the new theme, which are nice steps in the right direction for the new vibe on SmackDown, or for SmackDown's new home on USA, or returning home, whatever you want to call it. They need to switch things up in the mid-card, in the tag team division, in the women's division, and not give us the same feuds that we've had for months now. They got to wrap this stuff up and start moving in a new direction with a lot of these people on SmackDown. Thank you guys for checking out my review of the show. I appreciate it. More SmackDown reviews to come here every week in here on the channel, so be sure to subscribe, like this video, drop a comment, and share the video as well. All the support is greatly appreciated. Have a great one, folks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.